Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, Alabama, he goes there. He's going to be able to do really well. Brian Dable just did it. Bill O'Brien just did it. There's lots of it's people think of it as a college job. It's a pro job. Okay, it's a pro job with some recruiting abilities. What is going on, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football, back at it again. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things college football, pro football, Madden, EA college football, anything related to American football, hit that red subscribe button. Do it right now. Hit it down below. Hit the like button as well. It's not going to cost you anything. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on all of those things related to American football. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, I'm releasing this on Monday. I'm filming this right now, Sunday, okay? There's a very interesting thing that happened, okay? One of a guy who's very close to the Boise State football program was recently, what's the term I want to use here? We're going to say scapegoated in this situation. We're going to talk a little bit about the Kirk Cousins trap. That's one aspect of this we're going to kind of talk about there. The other aspect we're going to talk about here is kind of where this guy goes from here, because Kellen Moore, the fabled Boise State quarterback, again, not exactly the best pro player, but a really good pro coach, has ultimately been let go by the Dallas Cowboys. Here we are on ESPN.com. Kellen Moore out as Cowboys offensive coordinator, sources say. It's from Todd Archer here. So, Frisco, Texas, Kellen Moore no longer will be offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, ending a 4-year run that saw the offense rank inside the top 10 3 times. Sources told ESPN on Sunday, confirming multiple reports. We're going to get into that top, 3 out of 4, because actually the year that he didn't finish inside the top 10, there was a significant injury on that team. We'll get into that here in a second. Upon accepting Dallas' head coaching job in 2020, Mike McCarthy felt it was important to keep Moore in place to benefit Dak Prescott, since Moore had just completed his first season as the team's offensive coordinator, one in which the Cowboys boasted the top-ranked offense in terms of yards per game. Prescott also threw for 4,902 yards in 2019. It is possible that McCarthy will take over play-calling duties, but no decisions have been made, sources told ESPN. And again, he had done some of that in Green Bay, ultimately. And I remember there was some situations there with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, kind of the lack of aggressiveness per se. They hired Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur has been pretty solid there. And again, for some reason, actually, the Packers are kind of a defensive team right now. But I know the fact that, McCarthy, play calling, I'm telling you, if you have any worries about Kellen Moore as a play caller, wait till Mike McCarthy is a play caller. I'm telling you right now, I think we'll get into that in a second, what I think. But let's continue on with this article to finish up here. With Prescott coming back from a dislocated and fractured ankle in 2020, the Cowboys had a top-ranked offense in yards and points per game in 2021. In 2022, the Cowboys ranked 4th in points per game and 11th in yards, despite Prescott missing 5 games with a fractured thumb. The last Cowboys coach to call plays was Jason Garrett in 2012. Following that season, owner and general manager Jerry Jones wanted Garrett to give up those duties and focus on the full team. Bill Callahan called plays in 2013, followed by Scott Linehan in 2014 to 2018 before Moore took over. Last week, Moore, who had 1 year left on his contract, interviewed for the Carolina Panthers head coaching vacancy that eventually went to Frank Reich. A source said the Los Angeles Chargers recently requested permission to speak to Moore about their offensive coordinator opening. Last year, Moore was a finalist for the Miami Dolphins job that went to Mike McDaniel. In 2020, Moore pulled his name out of a running for the job at Boise State, his alma mater. Cowboys quarterback coach Doug Nussmeier, whose contract is up, will also not return. So it said right here that Prescott led the NFL in picks in 2022 with 15, despite missing 5 games. However, just one season earlier, he established a team record with 37 TD passes and just 10 interceptions. And again, they had that loss. They weren't able to put up very many points against the Niners, again, with a rookie quarterback out there. Now, again, the Niners are a very, very loaded team. They ultimately just put up 7 points earlier today, so they're not going to the Super Bowl. But I'm telling you right now, they are a really explosive team. They went out against the Dallas Cowboys, and they were able to beat them. Both teams under 20. It was just one of those situations where the Cowboys just couldn't put up the points. I'm a big-time Las Vegas Raiders fan, as you can see right there. And I see a very, very similar situation here with Derek Carr being the scapegoat in this situation in the same way as our dear friend Kellen Moore. Look at the situation here. Derek Carr was being scapegoated because, ultimately the team blew a lot of leads here. Now, Derek Carr has been known, surprisingly, for being a late-game quarterback. However, this season, miraculously, he wasn't able to necessarily get what they wanted to have done, move the ball in clutch situations down the stretch, which is weird because before he has. The only difference here was Josh McDaniels was the head coach. And, again, I'm thinking about that. They had the rushing title and one of the top receivers in the league, and they still couldn't quite close out games at the end of the game. Part of that's defense. Again, I think it's a whole team effort that Derek Carr was scapegoated. I also think the same situation here happened with Kellen Moore being fired. Again, Dak Prescott is, and again, here is the Kirk Cousins trap. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, a very, very good group of guys to complain about here because they give you enough to feel like you can win a championship, but they're just limited enough to where you feel like they're holding you back. Now, again, here's the situation. If you're looking at this from Jerry Jones' perspective, Jerry Jones is pretty much I don't want to say this. He's an overly active owner. We'll say that right there. Owners generally need to be hands off, put it over here, and let the team handle the team. However, they like to meddle a little bit there. Well, with that meddling, it's one of those situations where what is easier to replace? The quarterback, which is hard to find another quarterback. You don't have a really good draft pick to trade up. It's a very, very difficult spot there. Or the offensive coordinator. Who do you blame in this situation? They ultimately went with the offensive coordinator. And if you think about it, he's one of the best. Here we are in team offense on ProFootballReference.com. So if we see this right here. So this is 2022. So in total yards here, we have the Dallas Cowboys at 3. 2021, we have the Dallas Cowboys at 1. 2020, we have the Dallas Cowboys way down here. Okay, they're way down here at 17. Now, remember here, they had 370 yards passing per game when Dak Prescott got injured 5 games in. He had 1,800 yards. He had 5 games. So he was actually on a tear that season. And then 2019, the Dallas Cowboys here at 6. Now, this is total yards, internal, and so on. That might include some special teams, things like that. But they were a very, very successful offense, certainly when Kellen Moore was calling plays. So much so that the Carolina Panthers, Miami Dolphins, there was lots of Los Angeles Chargers, lots of people were interested in having him. And he's kind of been scapegoated here. So the only team that doesn't want him is the team that he's on right now. Everybody else, they want him. I'm being a little bit of a homer here. I know. Come at me. Okay, Boise State. Wait, we got Boise State right here. Where's that? Boise State right here. So, again, it's one of those situations where the player that got or the coach that got the blame, I don't think it was relevant. And, again, I'm telling you right now, I would be concerned. See what's going to happen there because the Raiders decided to move on from Derek Carr. It was tough. I love Derek Carr. He's a good guy, but they ultimately decided to get rid of him. Now, you should think about that from the Cowboys' perspective. When will that happen with Dak Prescott? Because I think it's a very, very similar situation. However, I was looking through a couple things earlier today because I see one scenario where, and again, if you think about this, from the pro perspective, he goes out there with his boy from Phil Meter to Toyota or Phil Meter Subaru. He goes out there with, Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. That's one situation there. He also goes over the Carolina Panthers. Head coach did not get that job. Miami Dolphins did not get that job either. There is a job that is actually very, very interesting that I think you would be in line for. And they talked about it 2 years ago that I think it would be a really good matchup right now. Coming over here to BamaHammer.com. And again, this was 2 years ago. Alabama offensive coordinator, other candidates for Alabama offensive coordinator. The very first one, Kellen Moore. And again, you see the situation right here where it talks about the biggest reason why he wouldn't do that. There's no guarantee that Moore wants to come back to college. Many despise the grind of recruiting across the country and would prefer to stay in the NFL. It's hard to leave that world after being in it for a while. So if you think about that right now, Alabama, still available offensive coordinator position. I talked about it earlier. Dan Millen's a possibility. There's a couple other players as well, a couple other teams. However, I think one name that should be entered into there is our dear boy Kellen Moore. A big aspect of being a coach in college is, like I said, they even mentioned in that article right there, the recruiting is absolutely horribly draining. There's no real time off. You even saw the fact that there were some dead periods there that were entered in because coaches wanted to take time off because Nick Saban would out-recruit them. So if you see that situation there, Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, Alabama, he goes there. He's going to be able to do really well. Brian Dable just did it. Bill O'Brien just did it. There's lots of it's people think of it as a college job. It's a pro job. Okay, it's a pro job with some recruiting abilities. But I'm telling you right now, Kellen Moore, Alabama would be a perfect fit. He knows how to get physical with the run game. He's a really good guy at calling run plays. He got the most out of Dak Prescott. I think that with the recruiting talent and with the infrastructure down there in Alabama, Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator would be home run. All right, guys, what do you guys think about that situation? And again, am I looking too much into my boy? I love Kellen Moore. Am I looking too much into it? Get in the comments right now. Kellen Moore, Alabama offensive coordinator. What do you think? Let me know. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys later. I am out.